Hello everybody and welcome to all4sci-fi.com. I'm Eric Walker and today we're reviewing another episode of Star Trek Picard. This is episode 4, Absolute Candor. Can I be candid with you for a moment? Excuse the pun, but I had to do it. It was just calling out for it. But this is episode 4, which aired today. And one of the things that I was excited about this episode is I noticed it was directed by Jonathan Frakes, which is Jean-Luc Picard and Patrick Stewart's old number one. He played number one on the original Next Generation. And I know he directed a lot of the Next Generation, so it was great to see him back behind the director's chair. And as always, before we get into any spoilers, we're going to let you guys know right away. At first, we're going to do a general, no spoiler review and give the rating. And then when you see me point up here and say, and you see the sign that says spoilers, that's when we're going to start talking about the actual episode and break it down. So if you haven't seen it, at that point, you could pause this video. A couple quick announcements before we get started. If this is the first time you've somehow stumbled across this channel, please give this video a big thumbs up. Give us a like, and also remember to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell on the right-hand corner. Let me tell you why. In the announcements, you're going to want to subscribe to this channel so you know every time we go live, because every week at all4sci-fi.com, we have on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 12, we have an All4Sci-Fi live trivia game and contest. All you have to do to participate is watch the live stream, listen for trivia clues we're giving, and then at the end of the stream, we're gonna give you guys one question to answer, and the person that answers it correctly is gonna get a free gift. Every week, we're giving a free gift from Galaxy's Edge. And this year, our goal is to give away 52 gifts. We've already given away, I think we're on week 4 or 5. So we're getting a good start. And it's been a lot of fun doing that as well. So make sure you go ahead and subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell so that you know when we go live, so you can participate in our live trivia game every Saturday. Okay, let's get into this episode, episode 4, which was directed by Jonathan Frakes. Let's go ahead and give the All4Sci-Fi rating. Let me think here. I'm gonna give this one 4.25 stars. I don't think it was quite as good as last week's episode, but I think it's still a little bit better than 4 stars. I did like the pacing. I will have to say this. I like the pacing of this episode more than the other one. The last episode was a little sluggish, but the pacing of this episode, maybe because Jonathan Frakes directed it, it had a little bit better pacing, better timing. Okay, so now we're going to get into the actual breakdown of the episode. So you're going to see a sign here that says spoilers. So go ahead and pause this if you haven't seen the actual episode. If you have seen it, then go ahead and listen to what we got to say. This particular episode, again, for the 3rd week in a row, it starts off with a kind of a prologue. It goes back 14 years, just before the synthetics did the attack on Mars and ruined Mars. And we see Jean-Luc Picard materialize in the beta I can't speak today. The beta quadrant, he materializes on the planet Vashti, which is a Romulan resettlement a planet, because they're trying to, of course, because of what's going on with the Romulan sun going supernova soon, they're trying to relocate the entire Romulan Empire, and Picard's teaming up on that. So we see him materialize on Vashti, and he then goes to this other. Well, but right before that happens, we see the city a little bit, and we see this young child steal some dragon fruit, and good choice. Because dragon fruit still looks like it's something that's not grown on this planet. Dragon fruit is actually one of my favorite fruits from Asia. It's kind of reminds me of melon mixed with kiwi. It's a little sweeter, but if you've never tried dragon fruit, I would highly recommend it. So this little kid, he steals some dragon fruit, and he tells the merchant that hey, he's trying to stop him. He tells him to, in the Romulan language, to bite him. He says, bite me. I'm going, oh, what the heck, bite me? And speaking of that, there are a few things that are upsetting me about this, and I know it's been on the internet, and it's upsetting other Star Trek fans, and it's upsetting me more so because to me, Star Trek was a safe place. It was a place where it had a little bit, what's a good word? It was a place where you could go to where you didn't have to worry about swearing or cursing and stuff like that. And it was a smarter type of a TV series, and the movies are a smarter type of movies. They're overdoing the swearing in these episodes, and this is just one thing that bothered me. This little kid saying "bite me" in the Romulan language, but a little bit later into the episode, you actually see, Rafi and Rios back to back swearing. Rafi uses the GD word, which is blasphemy. She says the GD word, and then shortly right after that, like the next line, you see Rafi saying the F word. He's actually using the F word, saying he doesn't like the, he doesn't like the effing hospitality hologram. And we learned that his hologram is a hospitality hologram. It's not an EMH like we thought in the prior episode. But I even actually took the time to record it on audio, and I'm going to play it right here. This bugged me.
You want to go to Vashti? Are you out of your goddamn mind?
Do you hear that?
I hate that fucking hospitality hologram.
Do you hear that? I hate that effing hospitality hologram. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Star Trek, come on, you're better than that. And I almost rated this below 4 stars because of that. I almost turned off when I was watching the show. I almost actually turned it off when Rafi used the GD word. You guys got to get better than that. I don't care if you're on CBS Streaming All Access, which means you're not on regular television, so you could get away with it. Like it's, on the internet or cable, you could see nudity or whatever. But guys, stop it. Stop it now. Okay? Once was enough. Every once in a while is okay. But every single episode, we don't need to see people using the GD word or using a very, very foul F word. That's got to stop. And I'm telling everybody over there at CBS All Access and whoever's writing the show, you're better writers than this. I see it. The show has fairly decent writing. You're better than this. Please stop. Okay, so after Picard is on the planet, he goes over to these sisters who belong to this sect that helps people out. If you have a cause that they could take up, like a lost cause, they will bind their sword to your cause, and they're like kind of like, I would say, our version of the ninjas, but for good. They're like our martial artists. If they bind, and I didn't know that, and that's great to learn that in other cultures and other planets, they have stuff that's similar to us as well here on the planet Earth. So Picard is there discussing with her 14 years ago, and he's very friendly with this boy, Eleanor, and he brings him a book, The Three Musketeers, to read. And they have some really cute, touching moments. And then suddenly Picard gets a call from Rafi telling him what happened with the synthetics on Mars, so he has to leave. Then it goes back to present day where we're at now. We're on the ship, and you see Picard. He's talking to the hospitality hologram, which happens to look like Rios. By the way, all these holograms look like Rios, so that's kind of a neat idea that every hologram that you're going to see is going to look like the captain, which is cool. And he's doing the hospitality program is trying to design a holo type of program for Picard so that he doesn't feel like lonely or he doesn't miss Chateau Picard. So he's redoing in the hologram suite that he's designing a program for Picard, and he's asking Picard if he's got everything right, if it does look like his chateau. And at that point, that's when, Rafi shows up and says, before that, we go to Rios, and Rios is with Alison Pill, his character, Dr. Agnes Girardi, and they have a really neat scene. I'm really liking Dr. Girardi. She's turning out to have all these really funny comic moments, and Alison Pill, your acting is spot on. Like, when somebody says something, her reactions to what's being said are just, straight on, great acting. And she's sitting there she's bugging the Captain Rios. He's trying to read a book. And the book is about, dealing with dying or something like that. And she's trying to bug him. And they have some funny comic moments. And then Rafi shows up and interrupts them and says, "Why did you change the navigation to go to Vashti?" And Rios is saying, "I changed it because Picard wants to make a pit stop." So she gets mad, and then she shows up into the hologram suite, and that's when she says the GD word. And then Rafi rolls in and sees the hospitality hologram and says, "I hate that effing, whatnot." Anyway, and Picard just says that he wants to go to Vashti, and Rafi right away knows that it's because maybe he misses Eleanor, the child, and he's never been back there after all this stuff happened. Apparently, after all that stuff happened, he just never went back, and which is a shame because the boy really liked him, and they had some nice scenes earlier in the prologue. So, and he tells Rafi, "This might be the last time that I'm able to stop through and say hi." We keep hearing this a lot in this program, about how Picard doesn't have very much time, and that's going to be probably worked into more episodes as we go along, his sickness. So they go to the planet. When they get there, they find that now the planet, Vashti, has this Romulan defense system all around it, and they find a way to get through it through the satellites. There's a time window every once in a while where they could break into it. So Picard beams down. When he shows up, the place looks very different than it did 14 years prior when he was there the last time. You see a sign that says Romulans only, and that kind of reminded us about the racism that we had here on our planet Earth, with the civil rights movement. Now the Romulans are doing it, and they're being racist to everybody else that's there. So Picard ends up going back to the Sisterhood, and because he's trying to find someone that could help him on his mission, his quest to bind. Trying to remember what the name of it is, Mylanor or something. There's a name for it, for what they're doing. Anyway. So, and then he sees Eleanor, of course, and he's grown up now. He's not a child anymore, and he finds out that Eleanor is trained in this Malat Nor, that's the name of it, sect. And even though it's only for women, he's trained. And so Picard tries to convince him to go with him. And he tells him the story, and it's see if he could go with him. And they have a few moments, and he says, "Did you miss me?" And they have some nice scenes together. And from there, it goes to Picard's getting ready to leave because Eleanor didn't say yes. And Picard has had it. He sees that before he leaves, he sees that Romulans only sign. So he takes that thing and throws it down on the ground, and he's going to go in there anyway, even though he's not Romulan. Good for you, Jean-Luc Picard. Let's stamp out racism even on Vashti in a different quadrant. Let's teach everybody not to be racist. And as he goes in there to have a drink, of course the waiters won't wait on him. One of the guys gets up and tells him he was a senator. And they start an altercation. He throws him a sword. And so here's this old man that's going to fight this younger Romulan. And right as they're starting to fight, Eleanor pops up, and really does a couple quick moves, and then slices the head off the guy that's trying to fight with Picard. And he warns all the Romulans that now he's bound to Picard, and if you want to mess with him from now on, you could choose to die. And at first, before he does it, he tells that Romulan, you have a choice to either die or leave, and of course he wants to fight with him, so he just takes him out really quick. Okay, so after that, him and Picard beam up to back up to the ship, and but before that happened, an older bird of prey started firing on them and trying to get them to get out of there. So the most action in this particular episode happens right at this moment. They have this really nice space battle, and right at the end, another ship appears and helps them, a smaller ship, and they ended up that ship's about to explode, and they do he tells that he hails the ship, and Picard says, you know, go ahead, put it through, and then he pauses and stops himself because he's not the captain. Another nice little moment. So the captain says, go ahead and put it through, but the ship, the ship that was helping him, there's no more time. That ship is going to explode. So it explodes, and they are able to transport they kept seeing he, but when he materializes, it's not a he, it's 7 of 9. And 7 of 9, Picard looks at her and says, hey, 7 of 9, and she looks at him, and she has blood up here on her forehead, and she says, you owe me a ship, Picard, and then the episode ends. This was a shorter episode than the rest of the episodes. I like the pacing. Again, I think the pacing was better. I think I will go ahead and give the credit to Jonathan Frakes for having the better pacing. The writing's still really, really good, but come on, writers. I don't want to harsh on this, the entire episode, but in fact, you know what? I'm going to change my rating now. Instead of 4.25 stars, I'm electing to change it because of what you did. I'm going to give it here, look here, it's going to get 4 stars. So this episode, episode 4, is going to go from 4.25 stars to just 4 stars. And the reason why you're getting 4 stars is because you got to stop using the foul language. It's just not necessary. Star Trek is our safe place. It's a safe place for nerds like us who want to watch more intelligent shows. Stop dumbing it down. Stop it. Okay, I've went on enough about that. But thank you guys again for joining me on this review of Picard Episode 4, Absolute Candor. And I was candid with you guys about how I felt about the swear words. Please, if this is the first time you watch one of our reviews, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel on the right-hand side, hitting the notification bell, so that you could see whenever we do go live, because we have our live trivia game every week, which I mentioned at the beginning of this review. Thank you guys very much for joining me on it. Until next week, we'll be able to review episode 5, and I hope there are no swear words in it. Until then, live long and prosper.